Yo, what is up, my Nakama? So my name is Daniel and I'm a current second year medical student. And in this video, I'm gonna be taking you through a productive day. We are currently in our cardiology block and I have a lot to cover today. I gotta do my Anki, I have to catch up on lectures, and then I'm actually gonna head to school, which is a rare occurrence for me because I usually don't go to lecture. And also we're doing social distancing anyways, but a few of our lectures are actually given in person. And this lecture is actually going to be like an EKG interpretation lecture. And I really like the professor who leads our cardiology block, Dr. Stacy. He's an amazing physician and an amazing educator. So it's kind of worth going to his lectures and watching them. So I don't skip all lectures. I'm not that type of medical student. But yeah, so let's have, a super productive day. We're going to train, we're going to study, we're just going to go hard. So let's go. Okay, so I had a pretty productive morning. I finished all my Anki and all of the lectures from yesterday. And so we're currently on our cardiology block, which is about 4 weeks long. And the first 2 weeks of the cardiology block is mainly physiology related, and then the last 2 weeks are pathology related. And I'm really enjoying cardiology block so far. Like, we're learning how to interpret EKGs, we're learning about the physiology of the heart, how like electrochemical gradients and the SA node and the AV node all affect, heart rhythm, and we're learning about atrial fibrillation and antiarrhythmic drugs and all of that stuff. And it's really cool because we're kind of combining like physics and electrochemistry and drug mechanisms all like in one go. And it's the heart, it's a super important organ for the body. And this is why I love medicine, because you can take things that are really complex and like apply them to real world scenarios. And everything we're learning here, like interpreting EKGs, and knowing what medications to give patients can really save people's lives at the end of the day. So, it's just really cool and neat stuff that we're learning. And I always feel fortunate that I'm in medical school because, I know to some extent that it is kind of luck that got me into medical school. I mean, I did work hard and all of that, but so many people apply every year. So just be grateful for the opportunities that you have and make the most of it. All right, well, not to get too philosophical this early in the morning, but now I'm going to go eat lunch. So I actually practice intermittent fasting. So my first meal of the day is around lunchtime. I don't eat breakfast. I just have either a black coffee or some water with lemon or something like that. But yeah, so now I'm going to go eat lunch and then I'm going to head to my in-person lecture at school. So see you there.
Fifth floor.
And what that is we're going to take the S wave from V1 and V2 and we're going to add it to the R wave from V5 or V6.
Okay, so I just got back from lecture and I really enjoyed it. So I don't usually go to lecture. In fact, it's been like 6 to 7 months since I've been to lecture because of coronavirus. But even before coronavirus, I didn't attend lecture. I would always watch at 2 times speed at home. But I think there's pros and cons to that because, for example, I was able to ask questions immediately if they came up in my head. And by asking questions immediately and getting answers to those questions, I kind of solidify my knowledge on that topic, rather than if I'm like watching at home and I come up with a question, but I have to wait like 3 days for it to be answered and then I just forget about it. And so I never end up getting that question answered. And also, like when I'm in lecture, I'm kind of hyper focused personally because I don't have that many distractions. Like I don't have my desktop computer near me and I really don't have my phone on or near me. And there was only like 8 people in the lecture room. So it's kind of like if you're not being focused, then the lecturer is gonna know. And it's really kind of engaging to participate in lecture in that way. You know, and I think there's pros and cons at the end of the day because if you're dedicated and self-disciplined enough, then you're gonna save a lot of time by staying at home and watching the lectures at 2x speed. But if you find yourself getting easily distracted, then, you know, just go ahead and go to lecture. Even though the minority of medical students probably attend lecture nowadays, it's not a bad thing. Like if that works for you, then it works for you, and just do whatever is going to make you the best doctor possible. But yeah, so we had our EKG interpretation lecture and it was a cool lecture. So basically we went over how to interpret myocardial infarctions and myocardial ischemia. So basically like an acute MI presents with ST segment elevation. So that is like a little peak that happens if you were to read an EKG. And depending on which leads have that peak, you can actually determine where, for the most part, the myocardial infarction occurred. If you see an ST segment elevation in leads V1 through V6, for example, you know that that myocardial infarction is happening in the left anterior descending artery. So you can say that it's an acute anterior myocardial infarction. And it's really cool how you can take just this electrical signal that's happening in the heart and a 12-lead EKG and be so narrow and precise with your diagnosis. It's just one of the cool things of medicine. I actually really like EKGs. I was a little bit nervous about learning EKGs. Like it just looks like a bunch of peaks and squiggly lines on a piece of paper. But if you actually take the time to learn EKGs, where each lead is located and how certain disease processes can be reflected in the EKG, then it becomes such a useful and important tool. And I bet like in the emergency department and as a cardiologist, like EKGs are your absolute best friend. But yeah, so that's what I just did. So it's about 4 p.m. now. So basically I'm going to continue studying until around 5. And then I'm going to do my calisthenics workout, which I will show you guys when I get to it. So I'll see you then. So I just finished up one last pathoma lecture that I had to do, and I did the relevant Anki cards for it. And I also did a practice AMBOSS test for some hematology and oncology related questions. So what I do is whenever I finish a block in medical school, like I had my hematology block 2 blocks ago actually, I still continue to do practice questions in order to like prepare for STEP and make sure that I remember the material even after the block is over, because we're going to be tested on it for our board exams anyways. So it's a good way to measure like how you're doing, how well you retain the information, and if you can apply what you learned a while ago to questions that you're doing now. And I did okay. I got like a 65%. Some of the mistakes I made were kind of dumb, but you know what I do is I learn as much as I can from those mistakes, and I make Anki flashcards based off of the missed questions that I had. And that's kind of a good way to make sure that I don't miss that same type of question again. And I can continue using like spaced repetition for those parts that I'm kind of unsure about. But yeah, so basically now I'm probably going to spend the rest of the evening editing a video that hopefully gets released tomorrow. Kind of meta talking about a video I'm editing in a current video. But that video is going to be kind of hard to make, but I hope you guys enjoy it. All I have to say is I'm basically stitching together thousands and thousands of photos to create this epic sort of day in the life video. So if you don't know, I was actually a videographer, well, a part-time kind of videographer. During my gap year, I worked with like a little bit of clients and did some videography work. So I always like to like express myself and be creative. And honestly, like one of the ways I deal with medical school stress is just by like making videos like this and making cool edits, because it's just something fun that I like to do, and it's kind of a passion of mine and a very fun hobby that I enjoy doing. I mean, I wouldn't be making these videos otherwise if I didn't enjoy it. But yeah, so I'm just gonna probably edit for a couple hours, and then I'm gonna go to bed and call it quits. Alright then, I've got my moisturizing face mask on, and I'm about to watch a show that I've been watching called The Boys, which is kind of like about corrupt superheroes. It's this awesome new show that I found, and I kind of binge watched all of season 1. It was only 8 episodes, and I just finished my pulmonary exam like last week, so I was like, whatever, I'm gonna watch the entire first season. And now the second season is coming out, so I'm going to watch episode 2 of season 2 of The Boys. Highly recommend that show. It's really cool, kind of pretty unique concept and interesting take on superheroes. But yeah, today was a pretty productive day. I have some pretty exciting news actually. So there's a pod with a bunch of boxes and clothes coming to my apartment tomorrow, and that is because my wife is actually moving in with me finally after almost a year and a half or a year of being kind of long distance because she had a job in another city. She's going to be officially moving in this coming Sunday, and I'm so excited. And I don't know how I'm going to be filming these scenes that I usually film, because there's going to be someone sleeping next to me, so it might be kind of awkward. So who knows, this might be the last, intimate face mask one-on-one that we have together. So savor this moment. I hope you enjoy it. But yeah, overall, I think med school is pretty fun. I've grown to enjoy learning every single day and learning new concepts and how we're going to treat our patients. And it's all about balance, because like I always try and find time for exercise and fitness, because I don't want to let my studies consume me mentally and physically. I still want to have time for other activities. So, if you're efficient with your studying, then you can always make room for other things that are important to you, like exercise or hanging out with friends or playing video games, whatever floats your boat, or watching anime, as I spend 99% of my time. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Stay strong, stay healthy, and as always, Dattebayo.